G'day guys, it's been a while since I've thrown a review out there, so it's good to get back into it. Looking at Rose Hill for what was Coolmore Classic Day yesterday. Considering the rain and the conditions in New South Wales over the last couple of weeks, the track was extremely I think it was a 6, ended up at 7, ended up at 6 at the end of the day. It seemed to play more like a 5 or a 6 for the most of the day. There were a few that didn't handle it, but considering most of the races were run at steady tempos, most horses looked to get through it pretty well. Start the day off, and 1350 metre race, benchmark 89. Spectroscope was really weak in betting late after getting into pretty short price. Looked two solid chances on paper, and strange money came for Fly Forward. It started SP at $3.80. That's with the internet services. Average price at the end, and very strange sort of betting. I don't think there's a lot to be learned here. They went pretty slow up front, and Spectroscope still came from last and was able to overhaul them and run away. He looks the one with upside. Extensible, certainly every chance here, and nice honest effort. Bring Luck first up is the other one to look for that will get over further ground as time gets on.
Ready for a jump in the first. And they're off and racing. Torgerson's going to settle
I'm assuming the money came for Fly Forward, thinking it was going to be leading and controlling. Wiley sort of took that out of his hands early, and he was left outside the leader, which is not his sort of favourite position. Extensible lobbed in a good position, and Spectroscope back last. The other interesting thing about Spectroscope was he apparently paraded quite average. Did a few things wrong there, and maybe looked a bit big in condition as well. So he's definitely got plenty of upside. I'm not saying this is the strongest race in the world, but he definitely had a few things against him here, and he's able to overhaul them. If we get to the top of the straight, this is kind of where it all happens. Extensible joins in, Bring Luck goes back to the inside, which may have been slightly inferior, but I don't think it was too bad. And Spectroscope comes down the middle and picks up the rest of them pretty comfortably. Love the way he's sort of pinning his ears back there, and he's really wanting to find the line, even when he sort of tries to switch him off late. He's definitely probably had enough, but he doesn't throw the towel in. He keeps going through the line, and he's definitely a horse that will win more races out here, you would imagine. Bring Luck's shown that he's in for a good preparation. That's a really good effort from him first up over a trip that's well short of what he does his best work on. He raced pretty close and probably knocked up. He's also won pace, so he's probably just a little bit outspirited by these two, which have got a bit of class. Sensible, no excuses, but solid. And the other three probably need it easier. Torgerson really struggled at both runs back, so the jury's out on him a bit at the moment. Race 2, Group 3 over the 1100. Weird the race on paper. Ball of Muscle and Fickle Folly looked the pace. Dothraki was always going to get a run. There's Ladies Night Out. There's another one that always looked like it was going to be on speed. So it looked a solid tempo on paper. They've gone, even time, pretty much a little bit quicker than even time actually. So a pretty solid tempo, giving them their chances. Artistry was very soft in betting, mainly I'd say due to its perceived wet track record, and Ball of Muscle was well backed. I just really think he hasn't been finding the line, and I was just surprised that the sort of money came for him. Palazzo Publico was also well backed and pulled up with a cardiac arrhythmia, so it can be forgiven. So probably go back to the trials or something before we see it go around again.
And they're off and racing, and they've jumped out in a great line.
Artistry struggled to go with them early, as you can see.
Muscle goes up on the outside, and Fickle Folly the fence. Ball of Muscle wants the lead from Fickle Folly, and Dothraki's found a spot.
Times the Lady sorry,
quickly gets past it going into third, now into second.
the Ladies' Night Out was ridden a little bit colder than I expected, and Allard ended up outside the leader. All the Muscle kind of only knows one way, so he was always going to run them along a little bit. Dothraki lobbed in that perfect position. If you were on him at this time, you were really happy with yourself, considering sort of the class of the racing artistry was well off it. But dead set looks the winner everywhere. Artistry takes a little bit of time to get out of this position she's in. You'd say that, Dothraki's probably got a measure here. He's got a nice little turn of foot on him, not a strong speed, but he can sustain a sprint for 100, 200 metres. But she's got a bit more depth to her than him for mine. No surprise that she ran away from him late. See, after the line, she's charging away from him. She's in for another good preparation. She's got a good mares race in her, no doubt about that. Obviously, that was a Group 3, but probably can win something better than this. Fickle Folly's run out of her skin. A little bit wary of the race overall. I don't think it was the best race of all time, and if Fickle Folly drops back in grade a little bit, I wouldn't be 100% convinced that, this form is super strong. Allart's sort of been battling a bit. Ball of Muscle's been battling. His Ladies' Night Out was first up and hasn't shown a lot for a while. Palazzo Public has put up with a problem. So the first two are definitely class horses, but just be a little bit concerned about tumbling into Fickle Folly at a short price if he goes back in grade next time out, even though she's obviously racing very well and is definitely capable, considering she's a 3-year-old filly against much more experienced and higher performed gallopers here. Just be a little bit careful about the format of this race. Race 3, the first of the 2-year-old events, looking to qualify for the slipper, and it was terrible to see Condor Heroes and Albumin being scratched at the gates due to a couple of different issues. A very strange one with Condor sort of getting away on the way to the gates, and then Albumin just putting his foot up in the gates, which was a real shame. So betting was left with basically two chances, Single Bullet and Juicimus. Shoe bit Coruscate next two, but it was very thin. I like Ty's effort here in punching up and getting outside the leader, even though he half misses the kick. I think that was probably what won him the race. If Juicimus had been left in front and had no pressure, and and he was forced to give a start, and see Single Bullet, he gives him a nice dig to end up outside the lead, and that was probably what won the race. It was a good ride from Ty. Not a lot happens in the run. Every one of them have their chance, except for All Day Out here, who finishes well back anyway. I love the way this guy fights on. First up on the heavy track, he was entitled to drop out. He just kept coming. I think he's going to be a very good 3-year-old, and definitely, ridden a little bit off speed is going to suit him. But he just keeps sticking his head out, this guy. He backs up in the slipper. I'm not going to say he can't win, even though, I'm not in love with the form here by any stretch of imagination, but I just think it's a very open slipper, and if he's ridden with a little bit of cover and finds a few, breaks, he's a chance. He's not a favoured runner, but he's a chance, and he's definitely going to be a nice 3-year-old. Juicimus for mine had its chance there. I can't see him possibly winning a slipper, and whether he goes around or not, here nor there for me. Coruscate, fair enough effort. The runs behind all solid, pretty hard fit horses, especially the Mission. The rest, no real excuses. Thy Kingdom Come probably was the run of those that ran on, and he was big price, so keep an eye on him. Actually, quick look again on that last 100 metres. All two viewing as well was okay, considering he's going to get over further. So a couple of those might drop back in grade and go up in trip and have a better chance. But I don't think that was a super strong race. Fillies looked a little bit different. Really keen to see Limbo Soul. She come off that effort where she was obviously well backed. And I was a little concerned about that she'd obviously been primed for that run. She was backed as there was no betting. She justified it, but then she had to bounce off it. And she just raced a little bit flat here. She was gone a long way out. It's a shame to see, but she'll come back a very good 3-year-old as well for mine, if not, late 2-year-old. She's got plenty of ability. Tulip races wide, has everything against it basically. Solid tempo, so she's made to work. She chimes in, runs away from them, probably just way too fit for the others in it, and maybe a bit of class. Elise travelled into it like the winner and maybe just knocked up late, only a second start in a race, and she's got untold ability. I thought Memento and Sweet Deal had their chance, and the horse that was interesting that I would like to go through again is Smooth Landing. I think it looks to have a bit of ability, maybe blinkers and a little bit further, and there might be a race in it. We'll have a look at its run.
Ready now, the 2-year-old fillies are about to fly. Capacity field of 16. Hopping up in the air at the start, La Chica Rose.
At the start, we've got Limbo Soul kicks up. This is Tulips out wide here. Elise in. The horse I want to have a look at back here, Smooth Landing. And Sweet Deal has its chance. Not too excited by its form. Just want to highlight going forward to a slipper that I'm taking away a little bit from that frolic form. Sweet Deal, I'm thinking that may not be that strong, especially after seeing this. It's just a lot of warning signs around that, and I'd be a little concerned with Frolic's form heading into the slipper. They've all had their chances. See Smooth Landing back here racing very greenly. You see the rider having to give it a bit of a slap there to get its mind on the job. We'll get back to the front, we'll go through it after. So, top and straight. Winner Tulips. Elise looks the winner. Limbo Soul's already under pressure. Sweet Deal has its chance. It's the favourite in front, Limbo Soul. Elise travels up very really like the way the Tulips lengthens here and just keeps finding runs away from them. Whether it be just way too fit or just too good for this field, as time will tell. Obviously the second horse has got plenty of ability as well, and you can see her action sort of changes as she gets tired, whereas Tulip just keeps running through the line. The others seem to have their chance. We'll go back and have a look at this Smooth Landing. So here she is back here. Again, you'll see another little reminder there. She doesn't know what to do, getting off heels. Again, she's trying to get her mind on the job. She doesn't know what to do here when she's got to go between runners. She eventually takes the gap, but doesn't really know what to do. And once she sort of gets through and puts a length on him, you see she runs away again, and I thought her run was full of merit. Blinkers, the stable's not known for putting on. And you'll see there if we go back where she is here and where she gets to around the corner. She's nearly coming up to the winner, coming around that turn. So she's the one that interests me going forward. Whether it be this prep, I'm not sure, but she looks like she'll make a horse for mine. Tulip's definitely a player in the slipper. I'm very concerned about this form. I don't think it was overly strong. Maybe a touch stronger than the Colts and Geldings, and I think Tulip I'd have to have in front of Single Bullet at this stage, but probably not. Neither of them. I'm looking to jump out of trees to back, and it'll be interesting to see whether they continue going forward with Elise this prep or look after her and put her away. Race 5, the 2,000 metre weight for age. Group 3, sorry, it wasn't a weight for age race. Set weights and penalties. Fastest tempo of the day. They really go hard here. Red Excitement just looked like he raced a bit fresh on the back up and tough to control. Set up a really strong tempo, which took the edge out of a few runners, especially Antonio Giuseppe, who was second up. I thought Allergic runs into third here. He was suited and maybe, pretty forgiving of horses like Libran. Antonio Giuseppe has said, La Squatty Spirit went fair enough. Good solid run really for mine. And even a horse like Who Shot the Barman sort of ran into position late, but he's only, just going okay for mine. Tavago's definitely the standout. He was only second up himself, and he looks a nightmare to beat in a race like a Sydney Cup on this sort of form if he continues forward. Antonio had to cart the field up. got to the leader, and he's probably had enough here. Does worry a little bit, this hanging. When he gets to this sort of level, it's hard to give that away. You'll see Tavago's just racing straight and true and to the line. If there is a flattered runner for mine, it's Allergic, hard fit, had the runs back and picks up a couple of tired horses late. All these horses can be forgiven. I'd say the ones you say Red Excitement's probably not going to the same races as a few of these others, but they're sort of on track. Liberan, who shot the Barman and Skitty Spirit for their main targets. Definitely don't give up on Antonio. A little bit worried about his racing manners getting to a higher level, but all in all, a race I don't want to spend too much time about. The time was good, the tempo was fast. Tavago was suited by the tempo, but can't knock him second up. He's gone enormous and looks on track for better races. Race 6, Fillies and Mares. Another race that just fell away a touch. Fox Play $1.80, and that's kind of what it looked like. The other horse I was interested in was Archie Barber. Thought his run was very good. Obviously, still needed the run the way he's capitulated the last bit, and he was giving a very aggressive ride for a horse that was obviously underdone. They've gone out quite quick here, and he's got very tired late after putting a yap in them. He's a horse that, if that horse hasn't killed him, is a horse that could bounce off this and has probably a nice enough race in him. Let's have a look at the race. Fox Play obviously was in a very tough position coming to the turn, had to check badly, looked beaten. Zenalicious looked the winner, and Fox Play's able to pick up off the canvas and pick Kira up and beat her. I'd have to say she has a bit of class on Zenalicious, especially over this trip, so I wasn't surprised to see her do it. I think she had a bit on this field, but she was definitely vulnerable coming to the turn. I thought the run of Pumpkin Pie was really good. Chases that fast tempo there. She's in a good position, but this is well out of her grade and back to the provincial championship grade. She's going to be a nightmare to beat. Comic Set every possible chance, but a solid effort. 3 back the fence. So you got Pumpkin Pie here. Archie Barber's outside nosing the leader. I'm not sure why he's ridden so aggressively, considering maybe they thought Bazelle would be the one for them, but he obviously dropped out of the race. Source Rock and Swing runs a decent race for mine, but he's a little bit flattered by the pace. So you've got the two first and second place getters back here, suited by a fast tempo, cut up the inside. We see Fox Play running into a lot of trouble here. I think McAvoy realised when he's looked up that he's got sort of 100 to 1, 100 to 1, 100 to 1 shots all around him. I think probably picked out the Hawks horse as the one that he wanted to follow into the race, but it was not taking him where he wanted to go, and he quickly made a decision which probably won in the race. You know, it could have been a lot worse than what it was. He made a poor decision to follow into this position, but then quickly rectified it and drags back to the inside, loses his momentum, but she's good enough to pick up and run down Zenalicious, who's got a head full of steam, and a good win. She'll improve again for mine, Zenalicious. She'll go to a similar race next start, and hopefully not run into Fox Play, who does look a little bit superior. But you'll see, like, when she gets to a Zenalicious for mine right at the death, I did like that she was probably left in front a little bit early, floated a touch possibly. This horse comes to her quickly, and right on the line for mine, Zenalicious is... She's coming again. I think she's tough. I think she's got a good race in her as well. But she does need things to go her way if she's a back marker. Let's have a look at Archie Barber quickly. And the things I like about his run. So he's head and head this leader the whole way. He's put it away a long way out. They've gone really hard. I'm not sure why he's so keen to get off and gone on this horse, considering it wasn't at peak fitness, but getting 2 or 3 in front of a field like that is a good sign. You can see that he's paddling, he's absolutely shot, he's trying his heart out, and he's just got nothing left, and he gives up a touch here, he gets the wobbles. But if he can get to maybe, a dropping grade, similar race, 1400, where he can find the front, he's going to be a nightmare to beat next time out from mine there. He'll take great benefit from that run. Comic Set, Pumpkin Pie, both can win back to their right grade. Group 1 Coolmore, Strong tempo, Heavens Above obviously wins the race. Huge run, Silence Edition, Danish Twist held up. Probably could make cases that Silence Edition definitely should have won the race. Danish Twist was a little bit unlucky not to win the race, the way it sort of all panned out. Stacey Doom in her time have run really good races. A little bit taken away from the race with Ome Sword bleeding from both nostrils. Global Glamour was just looks to possibly have come to the end of her preparation, and Dixie Blossoms, even though she had no luck, was as a little bit disappointing for mine. It's a funny race. It's not a race where I think there's a Doncaster winner or anything like that in it. There's definitely horses in here that can be competitive in mares grade, and horses that are going to win some big races over the next 6 to 12 months, but not sure how much is to be learnt from this. Silence Edition's an interesting one. You can see jumps really well, eases for a position. Not one of my favourite things, dragging back. Obviously pressed on, would have been outside the leader for mine. Was always going to lead Global Glamour. All he had to do was go along with it, and would have found a position. Stacey Doom kicks up, and now he's come again and kicked up. Clearly should have won the race for mine. You can see it working. Dixie Blossoms is the one widest with no cover. French Emotion doesn't run the trip for mine anyway, so it was out of business basically at this point. You've got the winner back in here, Heavens Above. Danish Twist, who's noticeably a couple of lengths in front of Heavens Above in the run. In her time in behind, who runs a great race, Stacey Doom and Silence Edition. So it's interesting to note that, you know, there's good runs here. The winner and second or third horse have come from a similar position midfield, and second and fourth, fifth are all up on the pace. So I'd say everyone's had their chance here, and the only difference between the winner and the third horse in Danish Twist is your tie comes wide, never gets his momentum up held up, and really is able to build for an extra 50 or 100 metres. Danish Twist isn't. See Danish Twist in his kind of held up. Silence Edition's done all the work in the world, kicks away and gets run down. In her time, probably just didn't run the trip. She's had a nice, perfect run in behind and just can't sprint with the others. Really good efforts. I think this effort here is a big effort because I really think this is a 1,200-1,400 metre horse tops, and to sit really wide and run on and just tire late, it's probably a good sign for her. So Heavens Above, if anything's probably a touch flattered. You see after the line the others have come back and beaten her. She's just stuck her head out right where it counts. Perfect ride from Ty, perfectly timed, won the race. Can't knock it too much, but she was definitely lucky to win. These Danish Twist has got claims. Silence Edition should have won. Stacey Doom second up, you know, with a trial in between's run a huge race. In her time's run a huge race. Really like the run of French Emotion back here, back in trip, back in grade. It can steal a race. I'd really like maybe 3 or 4 weeks between runs back to 12, 13. Would suit for mine, and find a nice race for it. They were the runs I was keen to look at. Just pretty much a straight forget for Ome Sword. He'll have a break now and come back in 3 or 4 months, and hopefully find her best form, because she is definitely in the top half a dozen horses in the country for mine. And it's sad to see her not racing at her best like that yesterday with real excuses. Second last race, and this is a really lackluster race. I couldn't find much on paper to excite me before the race. I was keen on a roughie here in No Doubt personally. I thought New Tipperary might need a little bit further, even though it had the blinkers on. I thought 1,500 might be a bit short. Definitely the horse on the up in the race. There's a few that have had their chances. Sort of A-Rod, Dibiani, I thought Singing would do a bit more, just look to knock up big time, so be a little bit forgiving of him. He's our Rocky, not racing up to his best for mine. Test of Shadow racing very well, but touch limited, and it somewhat had the class. Probably a little bit fat, but gets the run here. And as they kind of didn't go too quick, and he's in a good position, he was able to just use his class to get himself over the line, really. I was a little bit disappointed with the ride on No Doubt from a personal perspective. I really thought it had a good chance to lead here. I was, heard after the race that they said they didn't want to kick up because it might over race a touch, and it didn't find a lot last time after leading. I think last time it went 1,000 to 1,400 metres second up, and I thought it fought on quite well considering that setup. And today it looked like, they were never going to go too hard, as you can see here. Like, they're all trying to restrain the boys out wide, and it was just a battle of who could restrain the most. Eventually they pull the trigger on Test of Shadow and gets beaten a close photo. So I think that if No Doubt had have kicked up and taken a leading position, really definitely would have been in the finish, if not, placing or winning the race. So it's a shame, as you see, it gets over racing a touch and steadied and back a bit further than it needed to be. It somewhat's just never a part of that speed battle early. Chips along on the inside, gets the inside runs when it needs it. And that wins the race. See No Doubt's kind of held up in here. The run of the race clearly is New Tipperary. It's the horse on the up. It's the horse that looks like it's definitely got a big race in it. I'm not sure what it is. I don't think it's sharp enough for a Doncaster. Don't know if it's got the quality to win a crazy race like a Queen Elizabeth or anything like that against a top liner in Winks, but just the guts and determination of the horse. When you see where he's been here, second up, 3 and 4 wide, never gets on the track, just doesn't know how to lie down, the horse. And it's the horse to follow. I think No Doubt's a very nice horse, possibly back in grade similar, 1,400 metres again, taken to the front. I think it's got a race in it over the carnival. It's somewhat, going to poke around in these races and be hard to beat. Not the greatest ride on. I think this is Cylinder Beach back in here, never really given much of a chance. But you can see from the bunch margins, these horses are going to, there's going to be a different result most times, just due to luck in running and pace and tempo and things like that. So not much to be learnt there for mine, but New Tipperary definitely the one that's got all the upside, and I'd just be, be forgiving of it and using that as a calling it a strength and fitness builder. Last race and another one that was a bit of a nothing race. Hogmanay just simply outstays the winner on fitness alone, not on staying ability. I wouldn't say the thing, the horse that runs second in Green Sweet was first up for 274 days. This Jean Dubois seems to have a bit of ability at getting these horses ready. Obviously a French connection there, and the horses have won over a mile a couple of times. So interesting to see how those sort of horses adapt here, considering it was 1,900 metres first up. Hunter Jack runs its usual on this race, and Doc Holliday runs well first up as well. Winebush was the disappointment for mine, and I'm really just, jury's completely out on Belladero. Calden's Power looks to have found his level a bit as well. So Hogmanay well ridden to capitalise on his fitness levels, and that was the only thing that beat Green Sweet, who definitely had its chance and looked the winner. Hunter Jack's also had its chance. Interesting to see, like, Winebush is off the bit nice and early here. A horse like in Doc Holliday, who's first up from a spell, has been able to come from behind him and run past him. It's not a good sign. And definitely Hogmanay's going well. Could pick up another similar sort of race without surprising. The second horse is the one to follow. Had its chance for sure, but was first up from a spell and can be open to solid improvement. And those two are dominant over the rest. Doc Holliday's definitely got another one of these sort of races in him when he gets up to maybe a little bit further and can get closer to the speed and dictate. Not much else to be learned from that race for mine. Hunter Jack's probably another horse that needs to go back in grade to win. And I'm not sure about Winebush. That was really a good setup there, and maybe it needs further, like a lot further, to be competitive. Just wanted to thank everyone who's done the quick little survey that I've done this week. Bunch of responses, like hundreds of responses, which is great. Lots of good feedback on education and products that people want. I'm looking to put this together after the carnival, so if anyone's still got any feedback or anything they'd like to know more about from an education point of view, or products that they want to give, I'm trying to make it free for everyone, so please email it through to john@racingwatch.com.au. Quickly go through horses to follow. Spectroscope out of the first, definitely. Probably, looks like it's going to get to further than the 1350, that's for sure. He's overcome a slow tempo in this race and still able to overhaul them. He's got form up to 1600, 2000 metres overseas, which would see him definitely running that sort of distance out here, and really love the way he found the line. Artistry's definitely the horse to follow out of race 2. First up from a spell here, goes back to mare's grade, can win a decent race over the carnival. Fick or Folly back in grade, but just be very wary of taking a short price about it, unless of course it finds the right race. The Pago single bullet's is a bolting chance if it's ridden quiet and gets all the breaks in the Golden Slipper, but I definitely think it's a 3-year-old. Maybe Thy Kingdom Coming or to Wing when they get up in trip this preparation. Maybe the other horses to follow out of that race. The fillies, Tulips, definitely a chance in the Golden Slipper. It did a lot of work here. Strong to the line, ran away from them. Elise's a horse of the future, no doubt about that. And the horse that I think a lot of people will miss, which I'm very interested in, Smooth Landing. Blinkers on, up in trip, maybe next preparation, but there's a race in this horse. It definitely is a racehorse once it learns what it's doing. Tavago, the horse to follow here, definitely Antonio Giuseppe, don't drop off him, and the season stayers are going okay in Libran, Who Shot the Barman, and the filly, the Sketty Spirit, wouldn't drop off any of them if they're one of yours. Foxplay has to be the horse out of this race, just knocked over and still picked them up. Zenalicious is ready now. I think next run she'll be very tough to beat, probably in a mile race somewhere. Archie Barber is definitely ready to go next time for mine, if not maybe one more, but if it finds a race where it can dictate, look out next start. And Pumpkin Pie is definitely on target for the provincial championships. She's definitely going well enough, beating 4.5 in this race is good for that. Horses to follow here, Time's going to Brisbane over the carnival, in the winter carnival. She'll be hard to beat up there for sure. Daisy Doom's a similar sort of level for mine. I don't think there's much between them, but she's a very nice horse. Not sure where the rest of them go, but they're all going well enough, the first 5 to win races. I know a few of them will be going for a break. Time definitely is going for a short little freshen up. The ones back in the field, I'm not too desperate to follow them anywhere, but I don't think it was a terrible race, even though not the strongest Group 1 in history. New Tipperary, the horse to follow out of the second last. No doubt also back in grade if it finds a race where it can lead and dictate as well. And Green Sweet, the one out of the last, we've just talked about it. So thanks guys, hopefully there's something there for everyone, and I'll hopefully get a Golden Slipper lead up preview once the field's established on Tuesday. There's a couple there bordering on getting in or missing the race that look like they're serious chances, so hopefully the best field takes place if possible, and we'll have a good race next week. And thanks again, and look forward to more reviews over the coming weeks. Thanks guys.